Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to AnTalk. I just wanted to do a quick little video on what I thought on some of the spoilers from Doctor Strange. I already did a review on my overall thoughts on the movie. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go check that out. But this is going to be all spoilers. It's just going to be a quick little video. And if you haven't seen the movie and don't want anything spoiled, this is your time to leave now and come back after you've seen it. So Doctor Strange spoilers. So the way the movie opens up is pretty much a fight scene between Caecilius and his men and the Ancient One as they've tried to steal a couple pages from an ancient book in her library. Tilda Swinton, obviously the Ancient One, and Mads Mikkelsen obviously playing Caecilius. Both of these actors do a great job in this movie. One thing that really stands out in this movie is the performances, and these two, Benedict Cumberbatch and Chiwetel Ejiofor, Rachel McAdams, they all do a really good job. Benedict Wong even, they all do a really good job in this movie. But right off the bat we get the fight scene, and it really gives us a taste of the visuals that are to come in this film, and they look amazing. I said in my last video how superb these visuals are and the effects that they use, and it's really amazing, some of the scenes that you see in this movie. Again, I recommend you go see this in 3D and IMAX if possible. So they end up being able to escape the Ancient One with the pages they stole. Let's just get this out of the way. One of the big complaints about this movie is going to be just another shallow villain from Marvel, which is somewhat true. I really did not think it was that bad, but I definitely see where people are going to be coming from on that. There's not a lot, at least not a lot given to the audience to really explain his motivations. We know he wants to bring Earth to the dark dimension or dark realm where the ruler is Dormammu and time does not exist. And that's basically what we know about Caecilius's plan and what he wants from it. He wants to stop aging and pretty much preserve time as it is so that they can live for all eternity. And that's really all it is to it. And I understand where people are going to be coming from, but you know, this movie focused so much on Stephen Strange and his character, and I thought it needed to do that, and I thought it benefited from that. But this movie's only 2 hours. Maybe, you know, an extra 15-20 minutes to help flesh out Mads Mikkelsen's character would have helped out. I definitely would not have minded an extra 15-20 minutes for sure. Another thing, since I mentioned Dormammu, I had no idea Dormammu was going to be in this movie, and it was kind of cool to see that. And again, I can see where people would be kind of confused because they really don't explain a whole lot about Dormammu either. So if you're not big into the comics, I can definitely see where maybe some more exposition or explanation may be necessary. But it's really hard to fit all of that into a 2-hour origin story about Doctor Strange. I think we'll get a really good sequel. I thought it did a pretty good job developing Mordo, Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, and as we saw in the post-credit scene, he's definitely going the villain route, and we will definitely see him again. And I really think he's going to be an interesting villain down the road with more layers and more fleshed out. Other things that stick out to me right off the bat in the beginning, before Stephen Strange goes through the accident, we see what kind of asshole he is. He is a complete narcissistic douchebag, similar to Tony Stark, but way worse. I think they did that to separate the characters, really. After the crash, when he's injured and he's trying to find a way to cure or fix his hands, he's still a complete douchebag. He hasn't learned, and he's not thankful for what he does have. He really shuts out Christine Palmer, played by Rachel McAdams. And I thought the movie did a really good job of showing his transition, really. We definitely see two different people at the beginning and at the end of this movie. Doctor Strange still, for most of the movie, had a hard time letting go of his ego and himself, and I think in the last act you see the sacrifice he was willing to put forth in order to not be that person anymore and realize it's really not about him. After his physical therapist tells him about a patient who had almost irreversible injuries, came back and actually became fully recovered, and it's actually a mystery as to how. Nobody really knows how or why he was able to make such a recovery. So Stephen Strange tracks him down. He tells him about Kamar-Taj and what they were able to teach him and what they were able to do for him. So Doctor Strange sets off for Nepal in search of that. At first, the Ancient One is reluctant to help him because his ego is definitely in the way, and she's afraid to lose another pupil to the dark side, basically like Mads Mikkelsen's character. Eventually, his persistence is what gets him in, and she shows him what she's capable of him learning, because obviously he doesn't believe in the supernatural stuff at first. Then she sends him on that trip through all the dimensions and all that. That scene is really mind-blowing when it comes to visuals. Very entertaining. Like I said, you definitely got to see it in 3D. It seems like a good few minutes where he's just traveling through all these dimensions. And like I said, it's really just mind-blowing or eye-blowing. It's real trippy, and it's awesome. I like as he goes through his training, he exceeds and he really learns a lot faster than everyone else. He's not the best, yet, but at the rate of which he's learning, it just shows the natural brilliance and intelligence that Stephen Strange possesses, whether it's becoming a doctor or learning how to be a sorcerer. He can, learn fast and succeed in it. So I thought that was cool, and some of the training scenes were cool. I really like how they found a combative way to use the magic in this movie. I thought it looked really cool and was creative for sure. This movie is really on par with the comics as far as the look and accuracy, at least for the most part. And I thought it really did a good job of that. So since he's learning so fast, he's ready for more, but they don't think he is. So he starts getting into things he's not supposed to yet, where he looks in the book where the pages are missing that Caecilius stole from, and then he discovers the Eye of Agamotto. And once he starts messing with it, he realizes he can manipulate time, which obviously this is going to play a big part in Doctor Strange. Not just this movie, but in his future movies and other movies of the MCU for sure. When Wong and Mordo catch him, this is how they explain to him the consequences and basically explain to him what it is they do. And that's where you get your Avengers reference about how the Avengers protect the world from physical dangers and they protect the world from mystical threats. Then they explain to him about the Sanctorums placed around the world that pretty much create a protective force field around Earth from the dark dimensions, like where Dormammu's from and other dark realms. And right about this time is when Mads Mikkelsen's character and his men blow up the London Sanctorum. They're trying to destroy all the Sanctorum so that they can let Dormammu in. So this is where we get a fight scene in the New York Sanctorum, which again I thought was cool. I thought the Sanctum Sanctorum looked really cool. Seeing all the relics and stuff in it looked like an old wizardry museum, and I thought it did a really good job with it. The fight scene that goes on there is pretty cool as well. I like the part where they have the 3 doors that are basically portals to, other parts of the world, and you can change the dial to change, where the portal leads to. And in the fight, Doctor Strange, who's still, new to magic, has enough wit to realize that he knocks one of the henchmen or whatever into one portal and he changes it so that they can't come back. Just stuff like that I thought was cool. That's also how we get introduced to the Cloak of Levitation, as it basically protects Doctor Strange with its own will and basically chooses him and is his relic. Like I said, that's just a pretty cool fight scene that stood out to me. The chase scene is also pretty cool, where Caecilius and his men are chasing Doctor Strange and Mordo throughout the city, where he's making the whole city and all the buildings collapse on him. If you look close, you'll actually be able to see Avengers Tower as one of the collapsing buildings. That's another cool scene, and that's how we see the death of the Ancient One. I like that last conversation between Doctor Strange and the Ancient One and their astral forms just before she dies on the hospital bed. And she basically, explains to him, like, you're still thinking like everything's about you when it's not. And I think finally this is where it gets to Stephen Strange's head, where he really needs to become more selfless. So she passes on, and she also does reveal that she did use power from the Dark Realm, but it was for the greater good, and Strange, I believe, understands that. Mordo, on the other hand, does not at all, and he's totally against it and kind of feels like he's been betrayed or lied to all this time. So we get the final fight with Caecilius, and again, visually is pretty appealing. I really like when Doctor Strange starts to reverse time and everything starts going back to normal as the dark dimension was pretty much destroying or consuming Earth. So then we get pretty much a fight scene with time moving backwards and everything going back to the way it was in the middle of this fight. I thought that was pretty creative. I also like when I realize everything's hopeless, what Doctor Strange then does. He travels to the Dark Realm and confronts Dormammu. Remember, this is where time does not exist. There's no concept of time in the Dark Realm. So Doctor Strange takes the Eye of Agamotto. When he confronts Dormammu, Dormammu instantly pretty much kills him. No problem. But Doctor Strange reverses time and comes back again and repeats the same line, Dormammu, I've come to bargain. And Dormammu doesn't get it, and he explains to him that we're trapped in a loop. You can kill me as many times as you want, but I'll keep showing up and we'll be trapped in this moment forever. So it's actually pretty funny and entertaining. We see Dormammu kill Doctor Strange a number of times, where Doctor Strange just keeps coming back, and this really shows the sacrifice he was willing to make by spending all eternity keeping Dormammu busy in this time loop. He's willing to spend all eternity there, and I think that's really where we see the biggest change. And I thought it was also very clever, and it ends up working because it drives Dormammu crazy. So as a deal, he agrees to leave Earth alone. Caecilius gets taken in the process, and basically Doctor Strange beats the bad guys. But I thought that was very clever, and I really liked that scene quite a bit. One of my favorites in the movie. Like I said, this was a really good movie overall. I really enjoyed it. The tone, the feel was different from most Marvel movies, but really kept that same spirit, and I really like that. I can't wait to see more from Doctor Strange. Cumberbatch is an amazing Doctor Strange. And then at the very end, when Strange puts the Eye of Agamotto back where it's supposed to, Wong mentions how it's an Infinity Stone. Just comes flat out and says it, and it's an Infinity Stone. Doesn't really touch on it other than that. That's really for the audience to know what that is. I really want to just talk about the post-credit scenes real quick. First one with Thor, the mid-credit scene. I really like this one. Thor shows up at the Sanctum Sanctorum to talk to Doctor Strange because they need his help. Him and Loki are on Earth looking for Odin. It's pretty funny. Doctor Strange gives Thor a beer basically and refills it automatic, with magic, and it's funny. But what it means is I think we're gonna see Doctor Strange in Thor Ragnarok, even if just for a little bit. We've seen set photos other than what we've seen in this post-credit scene that relate to Doctor Strange, so I think we'll see a little bit of him in Thor Ragnarok for sure. In what way that will be, what help do they need from him? Maybe they need him to help them get back to Asgard, or use his magic to find Odin. I'm not sure yet, but I can't wait to find out. The second post-credit scene is of Mordo. We see him come in and he confronts the guy who recovered from all the injuries, who uses magic to walk and stay healthy basically. At least to our knowledge, he doesn't use magic outside of that. But obviously Mordo and him know each other. Mordo seems a lot more twisted. It's been a couple months since the end of Doctor Strange. After he's felt he's been betrayed and lied to all these years, and refused to take a dark path, manipulating natural law and things like that. He just won't have any part of it, but now it seems like it's really gotten to him, and he's in a much darker place, and he seems to steal like the magic force out of this guy and making him injured again. He can't walk again, and what he says is, maybe there's too many sorcerers out there. So I think that really sets up him for the sequel, and I think he'll be a much more developed villain. So I look forward to Doctor Strange 2 for sure. So yeah, I really like Doctor Strange. I can't wait for the sequel. I can't wait for him to pop up in the Avengers movies. That's my spoiler review. If I forgot anything, I'm sure I did. Please let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you thought about Doctor Strange. This is AnTalk, the weekly comic conversation. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. See you later.